Cutler cast, not the episode end of the year. We're wrapping up.
I don't even know what number this is.
We lost count. No one cares.
Yeah, they do. It's serious.
So I was about to start this podcast right now. I just mixed up that. You can push that out of the way. That's the aminos. But
you want to market it?
I can market it. But so I started this, and this is the newest. We saw this launch at the Olympia, and I just dropped this can.
I was going to say, were you chewing on the...
So the question is, if I open this, what's going to happen right now? Because this is sparkling.
I don't know. I think you should.
Okay, let's see what we do. Let's see if this... You had to pick the can that I knocked on the floor. Oh, okay. Okay, we're good. It didn't open very well. There we go.
I was hoping it exploded right in your face.
Wow, this is pretty good. That's a cherry lime one.
What do you think?
It's good. So this was introduced at the Olympia, right?
Yeah.
And they have all these new flavors. Obviously, we're big cola. They actually
right here.
Remember they searched that at the Olympia and they found it for us. But so we're gonna do a little review on what we've been doing for the last couple weeks, because I know we had some. What was our last episode that launched?
The last one we did was with Brian Shaw.
Okay, but that was quite a little ways ago. So we've had a few trips. Obviously, F1's over in Vegas. The traffic is still ridiculous. I actually went to the Strip to eat on Friday night at Prime. It's a steakhouse in Bellagio, so some of you guys that came here before, horrendous traffic. It was the night of the UFC. The food was great. Vegas, I thought, died out as we got into December, but it was very, very busy. Strip is still crazy. They've cleaned up a lot from the F1. We did not attend any of those events, but we heard, it was cool, but at the same time, I believe... I think it was hyped up a lot, and I just don't know how many people we actually were related to that actually attended. I know a lot of people attended the event, but less people flew in for it than I expected that we knew.
The from the videos and pictures I saw, I think what happened was they tried to jump the price up so high because it's Las Vegas and not everyone would come. And I think the scalpers or whoever else made the tickets so ridiculous that people said, I'm just not going to go. So it wasn't that busy at the actual show, but Vegas was still busy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were coming back from somewhere around that time, or I don't know what we were doing, but it wasn't something we really wanted to go down. And I know that some of the races, it was late at night as the actual race on that sighting of the UFC.
There was a race and there was a UFC fight the same day.
So it was like super late. I think it started at like 11 or something. So, but we attended the Sweden Expo, and this is something that this is the Fitness Festival. Mm-hmm. And I was there, Dorian Yates was there, Kevin Leverone was there, Sean Ray was there.
Chris Cormier
was there. Breon was there. Who am I missing?
I think that was...
We haven't attended this show since 2019.
Yes.
And we also piggybacked a awesome event in Denmark, in Copenhagen. But let's talk a little Fitness Festival. So Christian and the team, once again, put together last year I think they had the event, but it was very limited. And they brought us back this year. Tremendous. I mean, I thought the trip was, we flew over. We were kind of nervous about connection because it seems like every plane is late these days, and luckily you spaced it enough.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? Both legs coming, going like 2.5, 3 hour layovers, and we barely made it with those layovers.
Hey, look, every time, like I used to years ago when I'd book flights, I'd always go, okay, where's the layover? That's an hour. Because then by the time you land, you walk, it's already boarding. It's easy. Now you're like, okay, I need one at least 2 hours because every plane is 30 or 40 minutes late or sometimes an hour late, and then you're racing to get to the next one. And if you have an hour layover, like, oh, sorry, you're stuck. We'll put you on the next flight.
So let's talk a little bit about, we're United Flyers. Mm-hmm. Okay, you were Delta. Mm-hmm. I don't even what your status. What was the status?
Miler,
okay,
Delta.
So why is it important to try to stick to the same airline? Explain this, especially for people that travel extensively.
For a couple reasons. The most important reason is if you travel a lot and you're going to get stranded at some point, whether it's mechanical or weather or something.
That's not very positive thinking.
It is, but you're going to. Stranded meaning like a plane's something's gonna happen. You're gonna get stuck, or there's a horrible snowstorm. If you have the highest status, they're gonna make sure you're the first one out of there.
I know, but we're 1K, so we're not global.
There's one higher, yeah.
Okay, so
that's an invite.
So
only.
It goes silver, gold,
platinum.
Okay,
1K. Yes.
So not everyone's going to travel 1K status. No. So what does that mean? If what if they're silver?
Then you
have a priority?
Yes and no. You have a higher priority than someone who doesn't have status.
A ticket. What if someone's buying a first class ticket and they don't have status? Silver. Really?
No, it's status matters because so if you spend $1,000 on one flight, but if you're a silver, that means you spent $8,000 on the airline throughout the year. So they're going to give you precedence.
Okay, I'm gonna give all our people on here, anyone that's listening or viewing this, okay, especially the people in the fitness community. Mm-hmm. The first thing you should do when you take your first flight, and if some people they have not flown, some of our younger people, some people that just haven't traveled. Guys, sign up for the loyalty program. How important is that?
It is. You have no idea how many known people have no programs.
We know a lot, right?
And sometimes I'll be like, you don't have what? Like, no, I don't want to do that.
And why? Tell me. I mean, listen, we just logged into our accounts, right? Yeah. We're both about the same
We're
mileage.
3,000 miles apart on United.
So we have lifetime miles. I mean, I had over 1 million, I think, with every airline at certain points because when I was flying, I was circling certain airlines because it went by pricing, which people do.
Yeah.
Now we know better to stick to pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. Although I fly Delta sometimes.
Yeah, I would still fly Delta from time to time because there was one year I had a Delta 360, which is Delta 360 is equal to global services. They have silver, gold, platinum, diamond. Diamond was 125,000 miles, and then they had Delta 360, which I've only met a couple people in life. I had it 1 year, but it's so important that when you travel a lot, one, you're not paying for bags. You get multiple bags for free. Anyone that's on your itinerary gets the same status as you have. You get to get on the plane first to make sure you have your baggage in the spot.
Yeah.
Yep. Once you hit a certain level of status, you get upgrade points for international. So you could book a $1,000 flight to Australia, and if it's timed right and you do it right, you can use your points and get upgraded to business for free, which is
sometimes you can ticket. Immediately book an upgrade, but sometimes you get put on a wait list.
Yeah.
But with your plus points, like we have for United, it drives you to the front.
You're at the front of the line. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with 1K. So
international, you can only get upgraded if you use points. It's not domestic. Anytime you're on a lay flat. Even if you're going from like San Francisco to Newark and you're on like a 777 or a Dreamliner, you still got to use plus points.
Okay, so anything out of this podcast, you guys can not listen to the rest, but please sign up for your loyalty points program with any airline you fly.
I have them on my phone. I have every one. Even ones I fly once in a while, like Southwest, it's not even that. It's just you have access to everything on your phone.
And a lot of these credit cards you can credit.
Yeah.
You can get like a United Amex or a Chase card, and it gives you points.
Like
right?
even right now, so I'm flying to South Africa in like 3 days. And I paid for a business ticket, and it's a lot of money. And I could have booked the cheap economy ticket and used plus points. But when I was looking, I didn't want to risk not, because that shit's 15 and a half hours.
Yeah.
And nonstop. And I was looking at it, I'm going, man, my luck, something will happen and the whole plane will sell out and I'll be stuck in economy. So I bit the bullet and paid for a business seat. And now I'm looking on the plane and I'm like, man, there's 16 business seats open. I could cancel my ticket, use it as a credit.
The problem is 3 days out, the ticket's going to be more expensive than it was.
But even if it saves me $1,000, $1,000.
So to go back, so we flew. It was a little iffy on the connections. By the way, I did take advantage of my status because they did cancel me going through Germany. Where did I come back from?
From Romania.
That's right.
Yep.
And I had to stay overnight.
Yep.
And they paid for everything.
And one other thing too. So if you, and I don't know if it's like this on Delta anymore or American, but if you're on United and you have 1K or global services, if your plane gets canceled for any reason, even if it's weather, they will put you at the best room at the hotel at the airport. So this has happened to me in the past where I've gotten stuck in New Jersey. I've gotten stuck in Chicago because of snowstorms. Yeah. If you don't have the status, they'll say, hey, sorry, you're out tomorrow. We have a discount. You can stay at the Days Inn. It's 20 minutes up the road. But for me, you walk over to the counter. Hey, you go into the priority lane. I'm a 1K. And they'll say, okay, here you go. The Marriott hotel or the W hotel's right here, and you have a suite, and here's $75 towards food. So that's another thing that they do as a perk, which matters. Like I don't know if I'm going to get global services this year. I think you have to spend like $50,000, and I'm going to be, I think, around 45,000 this year. So I don't think I'll get it, but I think next year I will, because next year is going to be ridiculous. So
yeah, so we got there. We came in on a Thursday. The event, we didn't have to schedule. We didn't have to do Friday. We went to the gym. We trained, filmed some content. Saturday, Sunday was the event, right?
Why don't you talk?
Celsius was also a reason that I went.
Yep, they brought you. They're
along
part of
with
the
the fitness festival, and we trained every day.
But I want you to talk about what it took for us to get in the gym across the street. Yeah. with the two doors, we get stuck.
It's pretty smart, actually.
It is.
So we went to this key card, and so the hotel gave us cards to walk across the street to this gym. And by the way, it snowed every day we were there, and it gets light at like 9 and it got dark at 3.
Yeah.
So the daylight's cut really short in Scandinavia, right? We don't prepare for this, of course. We walk over there like. I actually brought heavier clothes.
You had a pair of shorts on.
No, I had the heavy jacket, remember? So, and you're like, I don't own a jacket. So anyway, thanks. Shout out to Young and Life for that. So we walk over, and they have these doors. So these doors are like enough for one person. You open one door, and there's just enough space. You got to have that other door, the door you just walked through, shut in order to swipe another card. And
to get through the second door.
To get through the second door. And
you can't fit.
I said, okay, you try it first. And, of course, you got stuck in the thing. So I said, oh, it's okay. I can open the original door. So, like, we're like, what the hell's going on? And then so you called the guy, and, of course, there's an emergency exit on the right instead of going through these double doors. So he's like, just open the emergency. I'm like, you sure that's okay? So, of course, we go in. And
scan it and go in.
And, you know, it's a really nice gym. We actually talked about this gym and how this would be a great personal gym. I mean, it was Star Trek and everything else. And, of course, there's no one in there.
Yeah.
But, of course, we go to leave, and the alarm goes off, and all these people
we go out to exit.
By that time, people are in the gym because we trained fasted, which was great, by the way. You guys want to beat jet lag. I mean, you hit the gym and as much as possible when you're on a trip, and I think it helps a lot with the sleep patterns. I actually slept pretty good while I was there, and maybe you not so much, but we were limited a little bit on the food. They did have food prep for us. We didn't carry our trifecta all the way over there.
We almost got kicked out.
Yeah,
for eating in the
we
restaurant.
weren't allowed to bring food in, and somehow they provided the food, but they still yelled at us for doing it. But all in all, great expo. I was able to do a seminar there. We really wanted to get a couple of those guys on the podcast. We just couldn't. We actually took the lug. We lugged all this stuff over there. So the cameras.
The whole podcast went to Europe.
We didn't have mics. We didn't have these mics.
We have different. We have wireless mics. We bought all the stuff and we lugged the whole podcast around the world, and no, the times didn't work. So,
but we actually used it for.
Yeah, we did. We filmed a seminar, and we'll post that up probably maybe like right after the New Year's. We'll post a seminar. We'll have a couple. We'll have a second interview with someone that we did that'll launch in January, and because I'll be overseas for like almost 3 weeks. And we will. We got to utilize that, so it's just learning process.
So you set up the cameras. I did. So we flew. So we did the expo for 2 days. Then we flew Sunday night over to Copenhagen to see Stellan over there, who threw the Loaded Cup. I mean, has a great business model and everything over there. So we weren't sure what was going to happen. We were kind of paying attention to the seats, but we pretty much sold out almost 400 seats, which was capacity.
Yeah.
Of course, you were like, we're going to knock this out in 3 hours. You're going to speak for an hour, do a meet and greet for an hour, and sign merch for an hour.
Not so much.
Yeah. It was like, what, 6 hours?
It turned into like 2 hours for the seminar.
I spoke a long time, yeah.
And then it was probably maybe another 2.5 to 3 hours. Like, I think we got there at, 4:30? I think we left around 11.
But I'll tell you what my takeaway of the whole trip, Okay. And big shout out to everyone that came out and waited because the lines were tremendous at all locations. The kids.
Yeah.
The age bracket. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Were all the young kids coming to see us at this. And I said, how do you guys follow this? YouTube, social media, TikTok. I couldn't believe it. The parents brought the kids. And, now what's falling in my lap is that the adults now that followed some portion of my career now have children that are introduced to weight training, which I feel, listen, back in our era, they used to talk about, you start to training too early, you're going to stunt growth. I truly don't believe that's. I think if
someone took drugs, it could, but not training.
I don't think especially not over there because everyone seems to be tall, right?
Yeah.
It's weird in those places. I mean, even when I used to go, like when I traveled to Holland, they have some of the tallest people in the world, right? Yeah. But the younger generation are coming out to these events and they're well aware of everything that goes on. I mean, that seminar we did was a lot of open discussion about everything. We had a lot of questions in there. The kids are engaging. I mean, they're aspiring, and the parents seem to be super supportive of it.
I think there's a reason for this, and I'm not going to point the finger at anyone else, but there are people in the industry that have big followings, and they do YouTube videos and stuff, but they don't give you information. Hey, I'm training chest. You actually put information out there. You go on TikTok and you say, hey, this is how I'm training my chest.
Yeah.
You explain it in detail. I want you to do this. I want you to contract the muscle. I want you to. So you're putting information that when parents see it and their kids wanting to train, they could forward it to the kid and say, hey, who's this old guy on here? Well, that's Jay Cutler. He was one of the top guys when I followed it. And now this kid becomes a fan because he watches this one on chest and biceps and calves and this, to where a lot of other people that are the known people in our industry that are younger, that have YouTube videos, they don't go into depth they don't put information that the fan base can actually use.
You know why I do that, though? I'll tell you, because when I joined the gym at 18, I would ask guys, and listen, I probably got wrong information, but the basic things like how do you train legs or chest or whatever. And I, got to group up with a couple guys and work out. And of course they would try to make me sick, overwork me. But we had magazines and we had articles in there. And I saw the Rich Gasparis and the Lee Haneys and of course Arnold's. And I read Bob Harris's Beyond Built book, from GNC when I was 16. And you had to make those routines come alive. I feel today it's almost like a non-thinking process to just watch someone go through a workout and be able to say, okay, this is how many count the repetitions, watch the actual movement and see, okay, at what plane did I push the weight, or when I did the rows, where did I pull the weight to? You can visualize all those things. So I think it's really important now is to have, okay, what's the mindset as you're going through this? And so people can be trained when they go to the gym. It's not just about going in there and having no game plan whatsoever and just moving weights, right? You have to have some sort of a plan of action, and there has to be a tempo. There has to be a rest time. You have to explain all these things, and those are things that we had to learn through trial and error, right? And not everyone's going to rest 45 or 60 seconds, right? I think the main thing, I focus on 12 repetitions. It's like a whole little thing they have on TikTok now because it seems like everything I did was 12s. And indirectly, if I don't count reps, I still seem to fall in that 12 repetition range, right?
Yeah.
And if anyone loves to train, it's me, right? Yeah. I don't miss any days. We didn't miss one single day when we were there, which was great. And I actually dragged you to the gym, and you've fallen out of training now, and explain a little bit what's going on. And I want you to be honest and open because I think a lot of people go through this period. It's the end of 23. I feel like this has been the least amount that you've trained since I've known you.
You know what it is? I had shoulder surgery in 2014, and for the first 18 months, I was not allowed to train because I tore my labrum off completely. I have 6 screws in my shoulder, and I remember the surgeon telling me, "You're never gonna be able to lift like you once did." And he tried to pound that in my head, and I didn't listen, but for 18 months, I didn't train my upper body because it's so painful. And then there's a period where I started getting back into it and training like I normally did, heavy, heavy, heavy. Every once in a while, my shoulder gets tweaked. And when it happens, it hurts and I'm out for like 6 to 8 weeks. It's just so like even.
But why? Why does it get tweaked?
I don't know.
Is this a sleeping issue?
It
Is it in the gym? Do you remember like, I went in the bench press? Because I feel like you'd still train heavy when you do.
I do.
I mean, you went last week and you bragged to me about doing
I could
3 plates or something.
Yeah,
you know?
It doesn't, I mean, my strength never goes away and I don't know why, it just doesn't. But it just, every once in a while, it could be a sleeping, it could just, something happens. It could be me one day picking something up and I'm like, oh, it did something and it's painful. It's never happened from the gym. And when that happens, it just triggers that in my head. And I don't want to go to the gym unless I can train the way I like to train. I don't need to lift as heavy as I once did, but I want to go in there and feel like I'm actually doing something. And if I can't, it just makes me not motivated to even be there. I don't even want to look in it. And even now over the last, let's just say 2 months, it's been like this. I go once or twice a week and I'm in there for maybe 30 minutes and that's it. And it's like, I force myself to do that.
I know, but sometimes I'm in there 30 minutes and I'm doing 15 sets, bro.
You do. And see where you...
I hate the time. Like, there's no time limit of a gym, right?
No, like I'll go in there and I'll go, okay, I'm going to do 3 exercises because I want to do something. I'll go in there and do 3 exercises. I'll do 3 exercises, 4 sets. I'm in, I'm out, I walk out and that's it. So I don't have that, I used to get excited to go to the gym.
You think you're ever going to get it back?
Yeah, I think I will for sure. It just this last couple months with all the traveling, me sleeping horrible. The diet's now, I've only eaten like twice a day.
I know, but that's not good.
I know it's not, but my shoulder hurting and all this stuff I've been home 1 week in the last 6 months. It just pounds on you and it's just, I'm not motivated to go to the gym. Now I still do 3 or 4 days a week, even though I'm not going to the gym. I wake up, there's an EOS across the street from me, and I just go walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes. I'll still do that. Sometimes I fast for the first half of the day. I don't eat till like 5 o'clock. Sometimes I eat right away. I'll go next door to like Stacks and Yolks or something and just get a normal breakfast. I don't eat like horrible, like someone would assume. Like even when I go like to these pancake and waffle places, I always get an omelet. Like I get an omelet, hash browns, coffee. I don't want pancakes. I don't want all that, that's just not my thing. But I don't know. Did
you ever think you'd hit that lull where you not motivated to work out coming from the background that you did? Because at one point you wanted to be a pro bodybuilder.
Yeah. But the way I went about it, as you get older, you realize that was not the correct way. I went into the gym and I wanted to lift. It wasn't 10 to 12. It was 6 to 8 because I wanted to be strong.
You think you trained too heavy?
For sure. 100%. Instead of slow contracting. I mean, I didn't like bounce it off my chest, but I didn't do it as slow as I could. I didn't contract the way I could.
What is your least favorite body part to work out, you think?
Like right now?
No, like just over time.
I think, when I was younger, I would say probably arms. I used to love training legs. I loved back. I loved shoulders because I could move a lot of weight. And no matter who you are, like you're not lifting heavy with your arms. It's not impressive. And I love just
it's repetitive too.
Yeah. I love getting under heavy weight, whether it was squatting and doing, I remember I used to do the 5 plates and you'd go all the way down. And I know this is horrible for me. I would go all the way down until my ass touched my heels and I'd let it bounce for a second. And then I'd pop up and I'd go down and make sure I'm all the way to the bottom and I'd pop up. And now I'm thinking,
what do you think 5 plates would do to you right now?
Oh my God, dude, I couldn't do 2 plates. I would just collapse. But no, I'm sure.
Isn't it funny? We brag about the gym culture in Vegas and how we can train at a different gym every day. And and you're like, I don't want to go to the gym.
I know.
Every time you would I call you and you're like, where are you? I said, oh, I'm at working out. You're like, oh, fuck, man, I just haven't felt like going at all.
No, this happened one other time in my life probably in my early 30s when I was in the music industry and I was gone for like 3-4 months. And back then I used to pull 16 to 20-hour days, 7 days a week. And I remembered thinking to myself, I was like, you want to go work out? And I'm like, dude, no, I got 3 hours. I want to take it. I just want to sleep because you're just so beat. But even now, like when I went and trained yesterday, and I trained a little bit longer and a little bit heavier. And I woke up this morning, I'm like, okay, I'm getting that feeling back in my chest. And I'm like, all right, so tonight I'll probably go train shoulders tonight. And I mean, I still
go easy. Yeah.
It's funny though, like even now, like when I go to the gym and I'm like, I train like a total pussy. But I guarantee you I could still out-train most of the guys that you think are hurt.
It's a challenge, for you guys out there. So if you come to Vegas, you want to get him to work.
Oh, man. I know at my peak I'd be a problem, but I'm old now.
I wonder if you get more motivated as we head over, because we're looking at an Arnold Classic. They just picked all the potential. And I say that lightly because there's a list. But this is the invitation. But let me explain to me how the Arnold, how they decide who they're going to invite. Don't they register?
So the people that want to compete, from what I understand, the people that want to compete, you go on the website, you put in your name, the shows you've won, this, and then you put your name in saying, I want to do the Arnold. From that, the Arnold committee, and I kind of have an idea I'm not 100% who's on it. They determine which people they're going to invite.
Because it's limited. It's invite only.
It's invite. I don't know the criteria.
It's like 12.
Around 12.
Yeah.
I don't know the criteria, but if I remember right, they don't want
Shooting
people.
A podcast. I'll call you back.
They don't want people to do their debut,
yeah,
like their pro debut. And from what I understand in the past, like they're looking for people that got like a history of winning shows. They want it to be like the elite, So like if you're just a guy that turned pro and you just go into the Arnold, unless you're a massive name, I think you gotta earn that right to get that invite. From what I understand, I could be completely wrong, and if I'm wrong, someone tell me. But
there's some stellar names on that, and this is like every year we say this lineup. But, I mean, Hottie's on there. Andrew Jacked is on there.
Yep.
Samson, returning champ, is on there.
That's 3 of the top 5 in the world.
I know, but no. But we got everyone except
Derek. And Nick.
Well, Nick was out. But,
yeah.
But all the top, as you would expect, this is like going back to the 90s, early 2000s. Your top 5 at the Olympia, besides the champ, is coming to grab that title. And hell of a prize now. And 2 weeks later,
the Arnold UK.
Yes.
So here's a question, and I haven't heard anyone ask this. If you were Derek, who just became the best in the world, would you think that any of these guys can beat you and you could go get another $300,000?
Yeah, I would actually consider it.
Well, you did it. You did it when it was $100,000.
Yeah, it was a Hummer too and a watch.
But still, you win the Olympia and you win the Arnold, and then you go in the Arnold UK. That's $1 million.
Listen, Samson's having one hell of a run right now. I mean, obviously he's front runner, even above Hottie, I believe, because he's the returning champ, right? I have to give the champ credit. I know Hottie's been above him the last couple shows on the Olympia stage, but the Samson hold victorious here again. And where is Nick Walker?
I don't know
in this equation.
I'm not sure where Nick is from the kind. I'm not going to speak for him by any means, but I don't know if he's fully healed yet and he's able to train the way he needs to. Because I'm assuming if he could,
he guest posed, dude, and looked
he's still
tremendous.
I would assume that if he was able to, like health-wise, if his leg was back up, I would assume he would say, I'm going to go show all you guys I would have won the Olympia.
But we talk about the money, okay? And I know Chris Bumstead was just on Patrick B. David, and he was, they're talking about this $50,000 for classic physique and how relative it is to his mindset. And he went on record and said, it's not really about the money, right?
Of course not.
And I can promise you it was not with me until later in my career. I started to think about the money when I would prepare for a contest, right? Yeah. But I didn't pick or choose. I'm not going to do that one because it's only $10,000 versus $100 or like I took steps to get there. Okay.
You built your way up to the Arnold.
And I know that, like, they were trying to talk about Chris winning, 10 Olympias or 9 to set the record, but I think the confusion is that's classic physique. It's been a limited time.
6 years now, is it?
Yeah. So
7 years. No, eight.
So, would you compare the track record to a Schwarzenegger or a Haney how is that comparable?
It's not comparable.
Yeah.
There's the other divisions were put in place with restrictions. It's not the Mr. Olympia. Arnold is a 7-time Mr. Olympia. Mm-hmm. He beat everybody that was in that class. That was the only class. Chris has 5 classic physique titles, but that's not the same as 1 Open Olympia. It's not, And
they asked him if he wanted to do the Open, and I know we've got. Yeah. I mean, we had Sean here. Yeah. I said it a long time ago, and everyone called me nuts. And I said, I think Chris would do well in an Open show, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
But they were trying to say, okay, let's change the narrative, and let's try to basically make Chris Bumstead the ideal physique, and let's kind of diminish. That's how I took it. Is like, let's diminish the open bodybuilding, but. Realistically, who is coming to watch that show? Is it for the open class or both? Or
to me, there's an easy answer for this. The Olympia has been selling out for as far as I can remember. It's going to sell out this year, next year.
But is it selling out because it's limited space, though? Is the question?
I don't know. I mean, regardless if you removed half of the divisions, it's still going to sell out. People want to see the freaks. They want to. Now, Chris himself is wildly popular.
He's a freak for the division, though. I think
he's an anomaly for the whole industry. Period. Chris himself is that person, but the division he's in is not doing the numbers.
Otherwise, if Chris, like, they're in the expo on prejudging, right? Yeah. Wouldn't the expo be bananas crowded if?
Yes.
If a percentage of his following was showing up for it.
What I would say is this, and someone could argue with me if they think I'm wrong. If you took 2 arenas and you put the Open here and it's $1,000 a ticket, and you put Classic here and it's $1,000 a ticket, I can assure you the side with the Open is going to be crazy packed, and the other side is not going to be.
I'm sure people would have their opinions about that, but that's your opinion.
That's my opinion.
But when we coverage these shows, we will bring up, I want to touch into the Classic a little bit because there's some
big names.
Everyone's in it except Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love this for the Arnold Classic.
Yes.
Okay, I was a 3-time winner there. My trophy's here. Brian is probably ecstatic about this lineup.
It's a serious battle.
But the question is we still have 10 weeks. Let's see what falls in between. If there are going to be fallouts, or like right now, this is the invitation list, and we need confirmation that all these people. Hottie's the big question mark. Hottie shows up. How dangerous is he to win this contest?
Look, I would.
If you were to pick, when we do this roundup and who's going to be potentially win this thing,
I think Hottie's the front runner. That's just me.
I have to give Samson that credit.
We can give Samson the credit as a former champion, but Hottie just beat him.
And we also have to give Brandon Curry.
I don't think he's on the list.
He's on the list. He's on the list.
He's not on this one here.
You sure?
Yeah. I mean, he might be. Oh no, I don't see him.
He told us he was going to compete.
Yeah, he said, but I don't know if he is or isn't.
I thought he was on the list.
I would say someone. I just think the winner of the Arnold's, though, usually the front runner, because that's the last show. That's the biggest show before the Olympia. But once you get to the Olympia, that's when it's decided. Like, hey, now going into the Arnold, whoever won at the Olympia is going to be the front runner to the Arnold, but then the winner of that's the front runner. It's kind of like a rotating, in my opinion.
I was the front runner at the Olympia, except Ronnie was.
Yeah, but you got second here and one here, second. So you were the front runner from both angles. So I don't know. At the end of the day, I love going to a show where I don't have a stake in the outcome. I want to see a good show.
Who would you root for, though? Would you root for Hottie because at the Olympia it was a close call, and he was the title holder, or would you root for Samson, who cleaned up after the Olympia, won it last year, has potentially, he's a UK guy.
Yeah,
he's going to go to the Ohio, and he's gonna win $450,000 possibly.
Possibly.
How is that?
So
for a payday?
I'm gonna give a politically correct answer. I'm not rooting for. I just want the best guy to win. If it's Samson, I hope he wins. If it's Hadi, I hope he wins. If someone comes from the back and Antoine deserves a win, I hope he wins. So I just like seeing. I have no stake in the outcome there.
Are you looking forward to seeing the guy from Colombia?
Yeah, I mean, seeing him in person, like we saw.
They say Chris was raving about him. Chris Cormier was like, "You have to see him in person." Kevin Levrone told me.
I'm sure he looks ridiculous in person. Like he looks ridiculous on stage. I mean, but obviously in person, I'm sure he doesn't look real. I'm sure the only person I ever saw in my life that looked that cartoonish was Ronnie, and he looks like he might be more cartoonish than Ronnie. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Did you ever see Victor Richards?
I never saw him
in person.
No,
pretty incredible.
No. I'm sure he was even. I mean, because he was what, mid 300s, and he wasn't that tall, was he?
So we will be present for Ohio and for UK. We have to get someone locked in for our traveling podcast.
We can. Well,
that's your job.
No, I'll. We just got to make sure. No, we're gonna have plenty of time. Yeah, we can. I'm sure if I ask Brian for an area where we can set up the cameras and stuff, I'm sure we can.
I want Arnold, man. I want Arnold. I'm calling him out right now.
Okay, call it to the camera.
Yeah. Arnold, we want you on this podcast, and we'll come to you. How's that?
What if he denies? He's going to deny.
You know what?
Just kidding.
I'm going to say, okay, it's either that or we'll have to grab a workout at Gold's Gym, you know?
We'll set it up outside.
Maybe we can corner him in the water. I mean, he did it with
we can have
Logan,
have like 3 people like rush around him and set up the cameras quick.
That is my bucket list person for 24.
Yeah.
We've now crossed 100 episodes, okay? We didn't even talk about that.
I know.
Because it happened when we were on the road. 100 episodes, you guys. Can you imagine? We started this in my house, and, you know, here we are.
What are you talking about? It's still in your house.
You know, it's like, here we are, man. You were saying to me, gosh, 100. How many views?
Over like 10 million.
Okay.
I don't know. Over 10 million, I think.
That's crazy.
I could look it up right now. You know, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know it's
Did you think it would ever go that far? And did you think the engagement from all our viewers, listeners, everyone else, because we're everywhere now. I mean, we're well over 50,000 subs now, and you know, we're trending in the up and up. I mean, we've been very consistent doing week after week on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say.
What was your expectation, though?
We didn't really have an expectation. We kind of just.
But you call me some nights and don't lie. Tell everyone what you say to me sometimes. You're really surprised that
No, I'm surprised that. You know why I think. You know why I think it does very well. There's a lot of inauthentic people out there. There's a lot of inauthentic, staged, whether they're podcasts, whether they're YouTube channels, whether they're Instagrams or whatever. There's a lot. This one here. This isn't a fancy production crew.
What are you talking about, man?
Oh, yeah, it's massive.
I wish we could show what it looks like.
I know. If people saw this, they wouldn't want to listen. There's no fancy crew. Like, there's times people will message like, hey, man, you're an engineer. Like, there's no engineer. It's me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just winging it. So there's nothing fabricated. There's nothing. We don't have teleprompters. We don't have all these, like, professional. This is just you and I sitting here talking. We only bring guests in person. We have no list of there's no pre-production meeting or this or this. We just turn the camera on and we just.
It's so talk. Funny. So we were starting this thing and he's like, "All right, so let's list." And I said, "Just press go. Let's go." And we get started, you know.
But you know what though? When you have that, when it's just a conversation, it's more authentic than if it's more of a stage production, because then it doesn't come across.
What's your take? What's your take on Derek winning the Olympia? Now he was just at Mel Chancey's show, the Holiday Classic, this past weekend, and he was there speaking, and you know, he guest posed at Weinberger's show. Like the next week looked incredible. Of course, a week after Olympia, but he took his shirt off at a show. Did you see what he looked like? His back was crazy. We should probably put a picture up there what it looks like. But
you know what I really like for him. And I know we talk about this, and I hear a lot of the chatter behind the scenes with this. Derek won the 212 and he said, I want to be Mr. Olympia. And he didn't call himself Mr. Olympia. He went and did what somebody who wants that title is supposed to do. He strapped him up. He came into the open and he fought and he earned it. And I like that for him, that he said, I want that title.
Well,
I want that.
Dude, I mean, I saw Keon at the Car Classic shortly after, and he still discusses, he's 212 champ now, but he wants to be an open guy too.
I'm sure one day he will. I'm sure one day, everything's a process. So like Keon just won this. Derek, got to remember, Derek was top 2 for a while. He was right there.
Well, he fell to 5th, I think, one year or something.
Yeah.
So.
And then he was right in that mix right out the gate. And once he won him, he's like, okay, I proved myself on this level. Let me go to the next level.
Well, I just remember, I remember when Flex Lewis was talking about, he had won 7. He holds the record for 212. And he says, you know what? The hype of him doing the open with that year, that he was kind of thinking, okay, I'm going to move in that direction. It was like crazy publicity, right?
Yeah.
And look at what Derek, he was able to say, you know what? And we sat here on this podcast and we questioned his choice of the Arnold Classic last year because it was big money. He got second at the Olympia. Boy, if he wins the Olympia, he's going to shove it down our throats that we thought he should have moved in that direction.
He could have won both.
Yeah, he probably could have.
I think he could have.
Yeah, guys have done that in the same year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Brandon Curry did it. Dexter did it.
Yeah.
Ronnie did it. I mean, you were top 2 in the art. Of course, I believe he could have done it. I'm not going to say whether or not he should or shouldn't have done it, because that's his choice. That's him and his family and his wife and that's his choice, and that's the choice he made. But I think he could have won. He could have. I believe he could have. If he won the Olympia, he could have won the Arnold. I believe he could go in and win the Arnold this time around too, if he chose to.
Let me ask you this: the Samson we saw at the Prague show, which I believe was his final contest of the season, was that a better version than the Mr. Olympia? He was bigger at the Olympia.
I don't think so. I just, look, just like anything else.
What does he need to do? What does he need to do to win?
Just needs to get hard.
But
hard and conditioned. He's got all the size in the world.
Does he show up like last year and still win this contest?
No, I don't think so.
No? Why?
That's not going to work against Hottie.
Why? Do you think Hottie's going to nail his condition?
I think, and this is my opinion, I think Hottie's the most head-to-toe complete guy out there. For as far as conditioning, proportions, around, I think that doesn't mean he can't be beat, because he can. Samson could overwhelm him. If Samson has enough conditioning, it's going to take more conditioning to beat Hottie. Because remember, Samson was kind of the odd guy out. With Derek and Hottie are more comparable. If let's just say it's Derek, or let's just say it's Samson and Hottie are the top 2, it's not the same, because Hottie's just nasty.
If there's anyone on that list that we have for the current Ohio contest, is there anyone that stands out that could shake up the top 5 that maybe we're not talking about?
Let's see. So we got Rafael Brandau.
Okay, so we haven't seen what he's took a year off to get bigger, and
he beat Samson. Yeah, no, he got second to Samson in Prague. Regan got 3rd. He's in there. Hottie, Samson, Horse MD.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Yeah,
he's right up there. John De La Rosa, Mohammed Shaban, James Hollingshead.
James is a guy that we haven't
seen him in a minute.
Yeah.
Andrew Jacked, which Andrew was in the mix to win last year. If he would have won the Arnold last year, I don't think people would have complained. It was just an opinions. Nexzilla, which we haven't seen. Justin Rodriguez, Antoine, and Akeem Williams. So that's
a great lineup.
It's a really, really good lineup. And I mean, I would assume it's Hottie, Andrew, and Samson.
Do you think Nexzilla can shake it up?
My personal opinion, I
hate to say it, Nexzilla. What's his Rubio? Okay, let's not be disrespectful, because
again,
he's got a lot more than a neck now, for sure.
Yes. I would say there's a lot of guys in that lineup that are big and shapely, and I think he might have a little bit harder time against guys that are. Look, I mean, I know he's huge, but Samson's pretty damn big, and Andrew is pretty damn big, and Hottie for his height, He doesn't have a weakness. So I think he's going to have I'm assuming he's going to be compared, but I don't know what he's going to look like in that mix, so we'll see. I mean, anytime you have Hadi in a show, you're going to have to be conditioned. And he's got the Olympia hardware to back him. And that, I think that matters. So, but
was it surprising that he entered this contest or put in for it?
No, I think look, I don't know Hadi at all. I know him as good as you do, but just from the outside looking in, it just seems like he's a guy that loves competing,
training,
and loves bodybuilding. And I would be willing to bet you, and we could ask Connie this or someone else, I'd be willing to bet you winning an Arnold Classic trophy is on his bucket list too. It can't, there's no way.
Pretty cool to have the governor give you.
Of course. There's no way anyone can ever tell me that they say, yeah, I just want to win the Olympia. And you mean to tell me you don't want to have Arnold Schwarzenegger hand you a trophy?
Talk a little bit about the Classic physique.
So Classic, we have
our buddy Urs in there. We have Ramon. We have Breon. We have Terrence Ruffin, right?
No, Terrence I don't think is
okay.
Darren Farrell, Urs, and let's see, Courage Opara.
Yeah.
Damian Patrick.
Good, yep.
Emmanuel Riccati. No, Terrence Ruffin is on here.
Okay.
I thought he said he wasn't doing it. He was opening a gym.
So we have a
and
battle.
Leslie Vissers.
Okay. Yep. Who we saw in UK win over there. He looked tremendous.
Look, I mean, when you look at this lineup, you have the former champion. Breon's a former champion. He's a former Olympia winner. Terrence is a former champion. Yep. Urs has got second. I mean, this is outside of CBUM. What else could you have here? What else? Like who else could you add to this that would? This right here is the Olympia lineup minus CBUM.
So let's talk about the break that these guys have had between. It's a little longer than last year because December was the year prior, right? Olympia. So now they have a little more time to prep. Yeah. I can speak from this because I had the kind of the same gap. Well, actually a little more, but
yeah.
But I pretty much had a month off of just getting into a normal routine, enjoying some of the holidays, and then it was full tilt back.
Yeah.
So, the mindset has to stay on track. These guys in Classic who have to make weight caps, obviously they had to pay a little more attention, especially during the holidays, right?
Because some of these guys are massive in the off season.
Yeah. I mean, they get a lot bigger. So that division's grown tremendously. And
who would you say? Would you say the front runner is Ramon just because he won last and he got second?
I mean, yeah, but
who can beat him?
I mean, Urs maybe. I mean, Ramon's. I mean, since they increased the weight cap, I think he's holding a little more. And listen, I heard mixed opinions at the Olympia on Ramon and CBUM. Mm-hmm. CBUM, I don't think dominated like he did the year prior. I felt like Ramon he closed that gap a little more. Mm-hmm. But CBUM's stage presence definitely puts him head and shoulders above. So I'm hoping that we see Ramon with a little more confidence, stage presence, those things. Because, listen, Urs is very polished, right? I mean, Terrence is the best poser in all of
I've always said Terrence.
bodybuilding.
I think Terrence is one of the most complete head-to-toe bodybuilders. And we saw the
best Breon ever. Mm-hmm. Almost. I mean, questionable. But was he better than when he won it? Mm-hmm. I mean, this was the best he had been in some time, right?
You know what it is when I think about this lineup, and you were talking about CBUM versus these other guys. CBUM has a je ne sais quoi, and for people that don't know what that means, he's got the it factor.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
and that it factor matters.
He's got it all around, honestly.
And it's something you can't describe it. Mm-hmm. You can't point it and say that's what it is. But when he gets out there and next to the other guys, he just stands out. Even if guys have better arms than him, or they have better legs, or they have better, your eyes go back to him. He's got the je ne sais quoi. And until somebody else comes up there that takes it, I don't know. I don't know if he's I kind of wish CBUM would have done a show like this, because that would have been cool.
He's got so many great things going on.
It's
now.
but there's got to be on his bucket list of Arnold Schwarzenegger's walking across the stage to hand me an award.
But shout out to CBUM, man, Entrepreneur of the Year.
Of course,
capitalizing on his success. I mean, developing the fan base that he has. Traveling. He did travel extensively this year. Even kind of before his prep, he did a lot of different events. He just came back from Dubai, and I mean, it's it's a great year for a lot of these guys, but he's definitely leading the pack, you know.
But for me, the most important part of the weekend is watching Angelica get back on stage. And
so Bikini, do we have Laura Lee coming back to
Yep.
defend her title?
Yep, Laura Lee is on there. Let me pull this up right here. We have...
And Angelica's coming back after, what, a 2 or 3 year hiatus?
So we have... Well, she her last show was 2020, and she's had 2 kids. So we got Angelica, we got Amanda Piera, we got Isa Piccini, we got Otiva Maza, we got Phoebe, we got Ellie Fernandez, Ivana Escobar, Amy Delgado, Laura Lee, Tamika Carter, Vania Augusta, and Rhoda Ali.
This seems to be Laura Lee's she always seems to peak well at this show, right?
I mean, look, obviously, I'm going to be biased. You know, there's only, I think Issa's the only one that's beat Angelica on this stage. I think Laura Lee got like 1 place behind her when she didn't win. And then when they did compete at the Arnold last, Angelica, I do believe Angelica beat her. So I would say Laura Lee is going to, on paper, since she's the returning champion, and obviously Issa's won this show in the past. Angelica's won 2 here and 2 in Australia, so she's got 4. And obviously Amy Delgado, local, she's moving up the ranks, and this will be a really good show.
Let's talk about Thor's return.
That's going to be probably one of the biggest things of the weekend.
Why? I mean,
I don't know the reason he's coming back. I mean, he's still young.
You saw they just had the volcano explode in Iceland, right?
Oh, they did? No, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I mean, he was obviously going to get crazy hype because of, you know, he was the Mountain in Game of Thrones, and he won the world's strongest man 1 year. And he was always that guy. I think he's like an Arnold favorite because
he's pretty young still.
I think he's like 30 or 31. I think he is. But I always remembered he was the only guy up there that had a 6-pack. And all the other guys are just big, and he looked like a bodybuilder kind of. And as he started progressing and winning, he obviously, the 6-pack went away, and he just got bigger and bigger.
It's just amazing what the strongman division in that, like, it exploded. And, you know, we look at the pioneers, you know, with even like the people that we communicate, like Eddie and Brian and all these.
I always remember
right?
Magnus for Magnuson and all these guys on ESPN Metrics World. Remember with Lou Ferrigno?
But Mark Henry won the first one when I was 2002, right? And I mean, I remember Bill Kazmaier.
Bill Kazmaier.
But how much it's transitioned? I mean, remember Franco Colombo did World's Strongest Man.
Him and I remember they were doing that thing where they were turning and it was.
But he also bent the bar, you know.
Yep. No, I mean, I don't know when I'm looking at this, they have. Why am I forgetting the guy's name from Ukraine? He's in it. I wonder if it's on this list or not. No, I don't think so. I want to say they have 4 or 5 world's strongest men in this. Yeah, I think they do. They got I'm forgetting some of the guys' names, but obviously have Thor and he's going to have all the cameras on him. One other thing that we didn't talk about, because I know we don't really talk about it a whole lot here, is Franciale is doing the Arnold.
So she has not.
She's never done it, and she's a 3-time Olympia. She's the reigning and defending 3-time champion of the wellness division at the Olympia, and she's doing the Arnold. And
what do you think drew her to do that? You think people just look to put that feather in their cap I
still think no matter what, it still comes down to Arnold is still that guy, and it's got to be on people's bucket list to have him to win his show. It's not about I mean, you can go to a lot of people that have won multiple shows, like having that picture there, and Arnold's not 25 years old. He's getting that opportunity to get that picture with him and win his show. That's something that matters.
Arnold Classics made me the business mogul that I became.
Millionaire. Just say it.
Yeah.
Without it, you wouldn't. And I've said this to other people.
That was the link.
Yep.
Listen, Olympia was great.
You were already successful when you
New York Pro, which was the Night of Champions. Like,
yes.
I bought my first house. I talk about that. But those Arnold Classic wins put me to another level. because they fell at the time where I was able to capitalize and invest money, save money, and get further ahead and establish a bigger fan base, the notoriety, the respect, and most importantly, it fell like in that sequence of life where I was around that 30-year-old mark, and it's like people talk about that catapult, right? That mindset and the expectations, and it gave me that credibility.
Of course.
And I won it 3 years in a row, which never's been
done. But if you
right?
think about this, and I've said this to other guys coming up, the money you made off that is still working for you today, indirectly.
But also the notoriety I made off that.
Of course. Winning the governor in one of the most famous, look, I know sometimes people in our industry take it for granted. He's one of the most famous people to ever walk this planet. And he's done a tremendous amount for this. If it wasn't for Arnold, I would have never. I remember watching Conan as a kid and seeing the big muscle guy. I'm sure all of us at some point or another was motivated. Of course. Twins, or Predator, and he's squeezing, with the shake. Like, you are winning that show matters. If somebody said right now, if someone walked in here off the street, our male guy, hey, do you know what the Mr. Olympia is? No, what is that? Do you know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is? Oh, yeah. Well, I won his show, and that's the title made him famous. I used to explain it,
They say, what do you do? I compete in bodybuilding. I've won the biggest title in the world. I actually just carried it through. I'm like, it's called Mr. Olympia. Arnold won it 7 times.
Exactly.
If I said Lee Haney or Dorian Yates, it would be a limited audience that would know, right? It's like people saying Jay Cutler, and he won, they wouldn't know, right?
Yep. And it's still that prestigious. So I love going to the Arnold just because it's not I get it, like for the Olympia, you win a show, you go to it. It's hand selected. It's not this, massive show where there's hundreds of people. This is the best. Obviously there's, Derek would be Derek or Nick or whoever else isn't doing it, will be at the Olympia, but it's hand selected and you sit up there and you just get to watch the show. And like I said, me not having especially for men's open or even classic, like I'm friends with guys and I want everyone to do well, but I don't have like invested interest in it.
You do it in the bikini division.
Well, I do it. Yeah. Because that's, me and Angelica go back to where she couldn't even speak English. So me seeing her progress and looking at her, I'm like, hey man, look, I know she's 39 and I know she had 2 kids. She's going to hurt some feelings.
Well, Columbus, Ohio, first weekend of March, we will be in the house. So Christmas plans. Okay, I dropped Angie at the airport this morning. She's in Jersey with the family. We have Daisy sitting over here. She's sleeping over there somewhere.
We should put her on the podcast.
Well, we're going to put Capone and Daisy, and we're going to see how many views it gets.
Yeah, we're going to see how many views.
We're going to put them on prop, and I'm going to show you guys how well-behaved my dogs are. They'll actually just sit there and look around. Because anytime you come to, like, LA Fit Expo, which we're heading there, I think it's our next appearance.
20th, yeah.
We'll have the dogs there. But so Christmas, we're wrapping up another year. I hope we kind of want to do a year in review.
We'll do one before I go, yeah.
Okay.
I think we're going to do it in the next couple of days.
So we'll kind of wrap up everything and kind of lead into 24. We already have a crazy schedule. I mean, we're already looking at Germany, obviously UK. Right away, we have the Cutler shows, in full effect.
Guy Sister Nino's gym opening.
Yes, March 23rd. So we
Steve
have a
Weinberger's event.
Yes, February, first weekend of February.
And even for me, like I have an Italy trip, I have a Qatar trip. I'm going to Africa in 3 days. Like my schedule is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, so we will get back on, but we just wanted to come on and kind of give a little wrap up of what we've been doing the last couple weeks, because I know we had guests or whatever, but we want to make sure we guys keep you in touch with just ourselves too. But everything is good. I'm training 7 days a week. I'm in full swing. Hopefully we can get you back from South Africa and get you on a training program and give you a little more motivation.
Look at that.
Yeah. We don't want to get into how that's built, But we appreciate you guys following along. Make sure you guys comment below. What do you guys think about the Arnold Classic versus the Olympia? Who is your front runners, if you guys have a favorite in there? Yeah. And listen, I think we're going to title this, so Arnold, I Want You, okay? So we're really going to...
Arnold, I want you on the podcast.
Yes, I want you. So big shout-out to Schwarzenegger. Big shout-out to all these competitors, and most importantly, shout-out to all those people that are listening, following along. Please comment. Tell us about your year. Tell us about 2024 plans. Tell us about your picks. And most importantly, stay healthy. And we'll see you guys at the next episode. Appreciate it so much.